Hello! So, I've got a few more records to show and a playlist to share. And yeah, there's a bit of a mixture of stuff here and from various different places, going back a few weeks now. There's, probably a few things from when I was in Scarborough. There's probably a couple of bits from Todmorden. Also a shop that I went to in Clitheroe that I'd not been in before. And I've also been in Copenhagen recently, and I didn't go there with any intention of looking for records. I've been to Copenhagen before, probably about 10 years ago, and I spent quite a bit of time then looking around, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love Copenhagen. Back then things were a bit different. I'd just stopped drinking. I was on a stag do, and I had time on my hands. But I remember thinking, like, there weren't many bargains to be found in the shops. There was a few flea markets that I did, and I found a few things there. But that time I was staying sort of nearer to the Central Station and Tivoli Gardens, and over that side of the centre. This time I was not that far from there, really. I mean, everywhere's sort of easy walking distance around the centre. But it was an area called the Latin Quarter, which is where the university is, really. Anyway, it turned out there was a couple of record shops literally a couple of minutes from where I was staying, and places stay open a bit later, really. Like, one of them opened till 6:30, the other till 7. And they were both great in different ways. And if I'd have realised, I might have given myself a bit more time to to do it properly. The first one was a place called Accords, and the setup in there was one that I'd not familiar with, really. So they had like a selection of new stuff at the front of the store, which is just, I guess they just update that as and when they've got new stock. But I'd say 2/3 of the shop was second hand, and seemingly that got refreshed every month. And then at the start of whenever they put the new stock in, on day one, everything was 50 kroner, I think. And then each day the price reduces. So the day I was there, must have been, 2 weeks in or whatever, and all the records are 25 kroner or 10 for 200. Which is about, 25 is about £3 each. And I found a few things. And the other shop round the corner, which looked pretty old school, as though it had been there forever pretty much, was Beat Bop. Nice guy in there, and plenty of stuff on the racks that was priced, but loads more stuff on the walls, just filed away. So you could just browse by looking at the spines, or take them off the racks and just have a flick through. And I'd say 90% of that stock on the walls was not priced, and if it wasn't priced, it was 60 kroner. And there was stuff worth getting. Anyway, I'll try and work my way through these, and you can see what you make of it. So this first one was from Copenhagen, from Accords. So this was 25 kroner, £3. Not an artist I'm familiar with. Aeolia. The Light of Tao. This is sort of new age ambient record. I think it's an 84 pressing of an 81 release. And to be honest, this is the sort of thing that I struggle not to grab when it's cheap, because I do like music like this. But then when it comes to it, I sort of, the reality is I kind of think, do I need to keep things like this? And generally I decide no, I don't. However, this features harp and flute, and I really like I really like the sound of the harp. So yeah, at the moment I'm keeping this. Yeah, I don't know too much about the artist. I think it's a German artist who moved to America, and then yeah, this is an early one. Done lots of other stuff. This was from the same shop, so it was basically £3, and it's all Beatles covers played on the Moog by Marty Gold. I think it's a 69 release. This might be a 72 pressing. To be honest, this is a bit crap. Apart from Day Tripper, which is just like the sound. The sound is so penetrating. Basically, it's absolutely amazing. I'm keeping it for that one. It's on this label. And then, yeah, this was a record that I was looking for. I got this in Scarborough. It was a tenner. Basically, new old stock. Don't think it had ever been played on this red wax. This was out in 2015. And I can remember going into Piccadilly Records in Manchester and asking them whether they'd got it, which they didn't. And then the guy looking it up to see whether he could order it. And they couldn't even order it. It's a Russian duo. Yeah, seemingly it mustn't have had very good distribution, if any. So how it ended up in a second-hand shop in Scarborough, I don't know. I was just reading up about them, and it's basically an offshoot of a band called Cosmic Letdown, which I don't know anything about. Never checked them out. Yeah, this cover of Tomorrow Never Knows is really good. And yeah, I guess it's sort of progressive, psychedelic, sort of droney guitar music, and it's good. It's not something I know a lot about, so I can't really make too many comparisons. But yeah, I suppose it reminded me a little bit of Loop in places, and yeah, I'm keeping it. Jane's Addiction, Being Caught Stealing. So this is a 12-inch single. To be honest, I've not really listened to loads of Jane's Addiction. This is the only album of theirs that I've ever listened to. This is Strays from 2003. I loved this when it came out. But yeah, never worked backwards from there. So this single's from 1990. It's a 12-inch remix version. Not sure it's sort of bringing much more to it from the remix, if I'm totally honest. But yeah, happy to get this. This is the only Jane's Addiction record that I've got, and yeah, I went to see them live when they played at Manchester Apollo last year, and they were brilliant. I really enjoyed it. And this is Objectivity, the Object Singles album. I did not know this. This was from a shop in Clitheroe. So, yeah, I just sort of picked it up and started having a look, and I noticed this address on the bottom, which is 182 Oxford Road, Manchester. And, yeah, it intrigued me. So it's a compilation of various artists, and, yeah, sort of late 70s, 78, 79. And yeah, so it was a bit of just a compilation of some 7-inch singles put out by this label. And there's some great stuff on here. It's all kind of its time, I guess, sort of post-punk, new wave, but there's a bit more going on with some of the instrumentation. You got saxophone, trombone, harmonica, melodica. Yeah, there's some really strong stuff on it. I think I put 3 tracks on the playlist, to be honest. There's 2 by this band Spherical Objects, and then 1 by Steve Mero. Yeah, I mean, this wasn't expensive. It was £15 or something. I mean, it's pretty much a near mint copy. I mean, probably not not being played much, if at all. And yeah, I mean, some of these singles go for, I don't know, like maybe a tenner a time, and yeah, something like this makes sense. So yeah, pleased to get it on the this Object Music. That's the label. And then yeah, I picked this up as well at the same time. I mean, this was in the second-hand section, but again, doesn't really look like it's been played much. And yeah, this was a Record Store Day release from 2020, not one I was aware of or knew anything about. Yeah, it's a reissue of a really obscure Nigerian release from, was it 82, 83? And it's really good. Yeah, there's like a bit of a write up about telling you the sort of the story behind it. And I mean, it's an impossible to find record. I mean, they reckon they pressed about 5,000 from reading this, but when you look on Discogs, there's literally like 11 or 12 original copies that people have got in their collection. So you're never going to find a copy. This cost me 15 quid. Sounds pretty good. Yeah, female fronted sort of early 80s boogie funk record, really. Recorded in London over the space of about 12 months, and then only released in Nigeria. Yeah, I'd recommend this. And then yeah, this was just another random pickup, really. This is a very recent reissue. Got this on Todmorden Market. So this is Yoshiko Sai, and this is her first album, I think. Yeah, from 75. So again, this is another record. To find an original is pretty difficult. Going to cost you quite a lot of money. Yeah, so this is a reissue on We Want Sounds from last year, and it sounds great. It sounds amazing, to be honest. And there was another repress from a few years ago, maybe 2021 possibly, and yeah, copies of that were like the Discogs median price on that was like 75, 80 quid or something, which is nuts. And someone's done a comparison. Someone who loves this album and has got both these reissues reckons this is the one to go for. And the previous one from a few years ago sounded great apparently, but this really does sound amazing. So yeah, for sort of a random pickup, I'm pretty pleased with it. Yeah, it's got a little booklet here which I haven't studied yet. Yeah, and it sounds great. I mean, yeah, I guess it's like a 70s sort of Japanese folky jazz funk sort of album, really, rather than city pop. There's not really much of an electronic element to it. But yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful album. So yeah, I recommend this. And then yeah, I got this, which, to be honest, this was in my want list. So this is a compilation on Champagne from 81, I think. And to be honest, I think I wanted this because some time ago I'd picked up this, which is basically part 2 of that first release. This record is trashed, to be honest, but I've never seen it before. I think I paid 7 or 8 quid for this, which is basically what the Discogs median is. I didn't realise, but I showed this record recently. The lead track from this release, Journey, this is by Powerline. This is actually on this comp. Worth getting it for that. The other track is Love Money, TW Funkmasters, which is also really strong. Yeah, the other side, not that strong. More like sort of, I don't know, 80s supermarket tannoy jazz funk, if I'm being unkind. But for those two main tracks, it's an absolute winner. Yeah, as is this, to be honest. Karen Young, you don't know what you've got till you lose it. And I don't know if I knew this or not. This is a cheap record. It's a 12-inch single, 83, I think. So it's a bit of a boogie tune, and yeah, I've been listening to this and yeah, loving it more and more each time. If I'm honest. Yeah, so another recommendation. Yeah, so this is Madeline Bell. I like Madeline Bell. Now, this single is Dance, Dance, Dance. This is from 76, and it's from her album This Is One Girl, which you will probably recognise. It's this one with a sort of black cover. Probably the one that you've seen, because it's only her later ones that you seem to see knocking around. Anything early 70s, late 60s, impossible to find. To be honest, I don't really rate that album. I've had it before, I've let it go. So the A-side, I'm not that fussed for. The reason for getting this, and to be honest, this is a second copy because there was nothing else to get. I paid £2 for this, which is probably over the Discogs median. You can get this for £1. It's the B-side, It Happened One Night, which is actually from this record, which was also out in 76. So this is a repress on Bewith. But this song here, Soul Slap, which is one of the highlights. This record is brilliant. And this repress is great. But Soul Slap and It Happened One Night, the same tune, identical. It is just the same song. Originals of this, like 150, 200 quid. And this, £1. So it's just grab it if you see it. Yeah, this had been sat on the shelves for a little while, to be honest. So it is what it says it is. It's unreleased 70s lounge grooves. And it's funky, easy listening, sort of a bit of a library thing going on. It's a double album, lots of different artists. Polish Radio Orchestra, Ted Nord Sound, and yeah, I mean I like it all. There's a couple of highlights. Yeah, this one down here, Dick Hunter 5, Passing Clouds, that's really good. Ted Nord Sound, Flambeau, also really strong. Yeah, this is a double LP from 98. It's not expensive, so yeah, I'm pleased to get this. Yeah, so this was from Copenhagen. This was from the cheap shop, I guess. So this was like £3. To be honest, this was they'd ordered everything sort of by kind of genre or anyway. This was in the compilations section because it looks like that, but it's not. It's Crystal Grass, and I've got the 7-inch single of Crystal World. So yeah, this is like a proggy French disco studio project from 74, 75. And yeah, it's got the full version of this Crystal World. I mean, it's only probably an extra minute longer. It's yeah, but it's worth getting for that. And I've just listened to this evening, and yeah, there's a few other good things on here. So yeah, I'm very pleased to get this. It's on Philips. Sounds pretty good. Jimmy Castor Bunch. So I got this in Beat Bop. So this was 60 krona. I've already got this record. I've had this record a long time. This is like I think it's a legitimate sort of reissue from the early 2000s. This sort of off orange colour label doesn't sound amazing. To be honest, very recently I got just the original Dynaflex. I guess this is the original pressing of it. This is another 70s repress, I guess, but not on Dynaflex. So I got this because I thought it would be an improvement on the Dynaflex version. I'm not sure it is. Maybe I'll get back to you about that. But I mean, it's a great album. It's Just Begun. It is a bit of a classic. And then, yeah, I got this compilation, which I don't know loads about. It's on Greensleeves. This is basically a repress from 2016 compilation that was first out in 89, I think. So it's all Glenn Brown Productions. He ran Pantomime record label in the Caribbean. Yeah, so it's just a compilation of stuff put out by that label, and there's a lot of things that are just under his name. Other artists as well. It's really strong. I've seen this about a little bit recently, so I don't know whether there's a few more out there, or maybe someone's found a few that were just in a store or warehouse or whatever. Yeah, it sounds good, and yeah, it's worth getting. Yeah, I just grabbed this on the strength of the label and the series, to be honest. Didn't know much about Maria Bethânia, Brazilian artist. It turns out she's the sister of Renato Veloso. Yeah, I got the only other one that I've got on that label is this one by Gal Costa, and I got this because I'd read up and someone was basically saying this is like a this might be an early 80s repress of a mid 70s comp, but someone was saying basically these pressings, this series often sounds better than the originals, so it just makes sense to get them. And there's a few. There's like Georgie Ben and Gilberto Gil and various others. You hardly ever see them in the UK, and they're usually not for very much. Like I think I paid a tenner for this. Similar. This was 100, so didn't pay a lot for this. So yeah, I've got to explore this a bit more. Really, there is a song here with Georgie Ben. Yeah, it's not all sort of Tropicalia, I guess, but some of it's a bit more sort of Brazilian kind of vocal jazz with sort of nice string arrangements on it. But yeah, she's a big deal apparently, and yeah, I'm pleased to get this. Yeah, and finally, like the reason I was in Copenhagen, kind of, was because Dina Ogden were playing. So yeah, I went to see them again. They weren't included in the UK this time on their tour. Yeah, so I suppose it's an excuse to show these records again. This is their debut. This is their second LP, and their third from last year. And yeah, so I picked up this 7-inch single, which has got 2 tracks from this second LP. Yeah, and it's got like Yeah, the lead track is with another guy doing sort of rap vocals, which I don't know about that. The B side is a live version of Docker, which is really good. Yeah, amazing band, and yeah, the gigs were great. So yeah, there you go. Cheers.